Steam me aboard. Energize. Energizing.
Kirk to transporter room. Report.
Listening to Transporter Room 3 with your hosts Phil Perello and Scott Calora.
Welcome to Transporter Room 3, another awesome installment. I am your co-host Phil Perello, along with your other co-host Scott Calora. Scott,
hey, what's up? Hey, how's it going?
Did you survive Comic-Con, sir?
Yeah, Comic-Con was not as horrible as it could be this year. I was sorry. The worst part about Comic-Con is that you weren't there, so we didn't get to geek out. We didn't get to record from Transporter Room.
I flirted so hard with trying to get down there.
It's hard if you don't have a pass, because
yeah, and I was looking too, man.
And the thing is too, even when you have the pass, it's still like the labors of Hercules to actually get to see the cool stuff that you want to see.
Right.
So like the Marvel stuff on Saturday afternoon or Saturday evening, like you would have had to wait online hours to get in there, to hopefully get into Hall H to see that stuff. So
my girlfriend's brother, he waited in line at 4 a.m. to get in.
That's devotion.
That's something.
Could she jump? Was she able to jump the line with him? Was he was online?
Yeah, she was able to get in the line because she has boobs.
Right. Yeah. If I tried to jump the line in with him, they would have sent the Khaleesi's dragons after me. At
least. And then my roommate, the lucky bastard he is, never been to Comic-Con before, right? Friday night, a friend of his is like, hey, my friend has a badge for all 4 days. He doesn't want to go anymore. Do you want it?
Wow.
Yeah, it's like the nerd god smiled down on him.
Do they have to pay for it?
I don't know. I don't think so. I think they just gave it to him, and he drove down for a day, and he got into the Marvel panel. So
this guy who bought the 4-day badge, he needs to evaluate his life decisions, because he went all in on Comic-Con. He's like, I'm buying the 4-day badge, man, and then I don't feel like going to Comic-Con this year.
Right.
So it's not like he bought a 1-day badge. He was like, maybe I'll go, or Well, that's great. That's fortuitous. Too bad he couldn't have hooked you up.
I know. No, damn it.
And
I could have gone down Sunday and used it, but what am I going to see Sunday?
Yeah. The Marvel stuff was pretty awesome. I know you've heard all about it from Karen.
Oh, I heard. Yeah, she audio recorded it for me, so I got to listen to the X-Men First Class stuff.
So sad. You listen to the
sweet.
sizzle reel.
I listened to the sizzle reel.
That's a throwback, man, to when I was a kid and I would tape record. It would be the making of Star Wars was on WPIX or something, local TV, and I would tape record it and then listen to it. Oh, I can still probably recite it to this day.
That's awesome.
Anyway, we should move on to Star Trek.
We should move on to Star Trek.
So let's do. We haven't done a reader mail in a while. Let's do real quick this one because I like the idea here. Eric Buck wrote to us and he said
that's the Klingon word for fire.
Yes, I thought it was the Klingon word for fuck.
I don't think Eric's gonna like that one.
I thought it was a compliment, but it's real quick. He just was saying, I was wondering. He likes that we've had guests on, and we'll talk about guests in a minute, but a bit more about guests in a minute. But he said, I was wondering if you could get some of our favorite guest stars, like Andrew Robinson or John Delancey, who, of course, they played Garak and Q respectively. I would love to hear their views on their respective characters in the series as they evolved over the years. I would love to get Andrew Robinson on.
He would be awesome. That would be a nice get. I
mean, Garak is one of the great characters, right? And
up there with Harry Kim.
Right, yeah. And we'll definitely get Harry Kim on as well at some point. Andy also played... he was the killer in the original Dirty Harry. He played the
that's right.
The I think it was called the Gemini Killer in the movie, and he was also in another Don Siegel movie called Charlie Varick, which is really cool. So he's been around quite a bit before.
Been around for a while, yeah. He's so good as Garrick.
And Delancey is great as well. I'd love to talk to Delancey. I've never talked to either of those guys. We do have bad news this week because we were able to get Michael Dorn, Worf, to come on to talk to us, and Phil was not available, but I spoke to him last week, and the interview was lost by Google. I recorded it. I spoke to him on the phone, recorded it with Google Voice, and Google lost the file. So our interview with Worf has disappeared into the wormhole. So we apologize for that. But it's just one of those things. What can you do?
But Scott had a really awesome chat.
Yeah, it was great.
Dorn.
You guys will never hear it, but it was awesome. But we, in honor of that, we're going to talk about Worf's. What are we going to do? Our 6 greatest Worf moments today?
Sure.
Okay.
You got to go 6. 6 is the new 5.
6 is the new 5. And but before we do that, not to be too much all over the map here, we did want to also mention briefly this news item that dropped, I think, last week about Star Trek 3. Sounds like Paramount's like got Star Trek 3 kind of on the fast track, and Badass Digest ran a story that it looks like they're going to have new writers on this one. Ashley Edward Miller and Zach Stentz, who also worked on Thor and X-Men First Class, and they also come from Fringe. So they're sort of part of that Bad Robot wheelhouse.
Right.
And I guess they also, you could trace them back to another Roddenberry thing as well. They worked on Andromeda back in the day, the TV show, the Kevin Sorbo thing. So that's it, new writers, but that doesn't mean that Orci and Kurtzman are off the property, because apparently obviously they'll still be on as producers, but Badass Digest says, I heard that they were instrumental in making the decision about going after Stentz and Miller. So what their day-to-day involvement will be remains unclear, but they're clearly still deep in it. So right. I don't know if that's, I guess if you like Star Trek Into Darkness, it's good news that Orci and Kurtzman will still be involved.
Yeah, I guess that's good news.
If you didn't like it, it's not good news. So that's that. And I think Zachary Quinto said something recently that he seemed to think the movie was going to shoot within the next year or something. Right.
Yeah.
So they want to try to
in time for the 50th anniversary, right?
Yeah, I think that's what it is, right? Which is when is the 50th anniversary? I don't know.
2016, right?
It's 16. Okay, they're going by the air date, I guess.
Air date.
Okay, so there you have it.
50 years of Star Trek. Holy shit.
Crazy, right? I remember when the first episode aired. I was watching it with my first son. From my previous marriage. That was when my name was Curzon Kalora.
I see what you did there, Scott.
Okay. Anyway, let's move on to Worf.
Worf, watching Next Gen, I liked Worf, but never had like a real love for him. But when he came to Deep Space Nine, what could have just been stunt casting actually not only made that character great, but added to the greatness of that show. Yeah,
definitely. Yeah, for sure.
And Worf's collected some badass moments.
Yeah.
And I think one of my favorites, and I think for a lot of us, is Assimilate This from Star Trek First Contact.
Yeah, that's definitely... Worf is very quotable also. He's got a lot of good one-liners, which he's like sort of the straight man who drops the one-liner, which is always so funny. And Assimilate This winds up being funny, but it's also badass and awesome. It's such a great scene. Just the scene itself, the spacewalk and the battle, and motherfuckers be dying and whatnot.
Yeah, killing some Borg in zero-grav.
Yeah, and Hawk gets assimilated as well during that scene, right?
Right.
And Worf Worf is in a bad situation, isn't he? Prior to the assimilate this moment, he
gets hurt. A Borg like slashes at his suit.
Yeah, so he's losing. His
blood is like Star Trek 16 in zero-grav.
And then you don't see what, I don't think you see what happens to him for a minute there, as you know, the action kind of goes back to Picard,
right?
But then Worf has got very ingeniously has tied the severed Borg limb around his cut suit,
which is so good,
right?
So damn good.
But he saves the Earth in that moment, because it's not just a great line to assimilate this, but he saves the Earth because he blows the deflector array out of the sky, which is what was about to transmit back to the Borg homeworld, right?
Right. Send reinforcements.
Yeah, so it's great. He also has
go ahead, Scott. Sorry.
I was gonna say he also has another great. This isn't on our official list, but he has another great moment in that movie, which is when he goes face to face with Picard, and I think that's the one where he says, "If you were any other man, I would kill you where you stand," or something like that.
Get off my bridge. Yeah. It's good stuff. Now, Worf, that's just a fun moment. I was rewatching First Contact just recently last week. And, that movie's good, man.
Phil, man, you watch, it's crazy how much Star Trek you watch.
Is it, Scott? I think it's crazy how much Star Trek I don't watch.
Well, you know what? My wife and son are out of town this week, so...
it's going to be the nerdiest risky business scene ever.
Yeah. Replace the prostitution
into your living room wearing your tunic and no pants.
Well, I'm just going to wear the scant from the first season. And slide in, right?
You should wear the cheerleader outfit from TNG.
So, all right, what else is on? What's next on our list?
Well, going a little darker, and probably one of the darkest moments of Next Gen. I'm really surprised they fully went there. Is the episode Reunion?
Yeah.
When Kalar is killed off screen by Duras, and right after Worf makes his son look at the dead body to know what death is.
The kid's like 4, by the way.
Kid's 4. It's the little brother from Family Ties. It's who it is.
I know.
And he's making Alex P. Keaton's Klingon little brother stare at dead mommy parts. Right before he goes off.
And it's not even, I mean, it's a bit of a bloody scene as well, right? It's not like she just died.
Yeah, I mean, it's tastefully shot. I mean, they keep the carnage pretty much off screen, but then the little boy has a scene with his dying mom.
Yeah.
And I believe Worf, does this whole Gaylor, little he does. Worf cry thing.
He does the Worf. He does the Klingon death cry or whatever it is.
He does the Klingon death cry, yeah. And then makes the boys, he says something really cool, like know what death is, and thing like that. And then he goes and kills Duras.
Yeah.
Damn great.
Takes his communicator badge off, right?
Right, because that's the sign. That's the universal sign for I'm going off the reservation.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Take off your communicator, which he does twice. He does it in Redemption, which we'll talk about, and he does it in this one. And yeah, I think it's like removing your pips and the communicator means you're really going off the reservation. Communicator means by the end of the episode you're going to get slapped in the wrist, but we'll let you back in.
Right.
Federation is a really forgiving group.
Pips and communicator means you're putting on some kind of Southern California yoga class outfit next.
Right.
And but Worf, let's put it into, you're right, the Federation and Starfleet are very forgiving, but let's put this into perspective. Worf, who's a senior officer on the Enterprise and in Starfleet, he murders a man on the Enterprise. Or no, does it take place on the Enterprise or is it back on the Klingon homeworld?
I think it's back on the Klingon.
It's back on the homeworld.
On Duras' ship or the homeworld?
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it's on the ship because they met, right. So, but it's not just that he kills this guy. Duras was one of the contenders for the throne, right? He was in. It was all about the arbiter of succession or something, wasn't it?
Exactly.
Like,
yeah.
so he went and like if he went and killed Obama when he was running for office or something,
just
right? Like
a week before he's sworn in, just shows up and says, "All right, let's do this." I got my 3-pronged Klingon knife. What do you got, Obama?
It's pretty, yeah. And you know what's up with Duras? All he has is a sword. The prop department couldn't afford. They couldn't afford to make more than one bat'leth, I guess. The bat'leth was a new creation back then, I think, and so he just gets a sword, like a samurai sword. Doesn't seem fair. But you know, it's awesome because it's also just the episode is so great because it's another one of the earlier instances of them evolving storylines. So the standalone storyline being replaced by the arc storyline, where Worf was really one of the leading characters with that. Ron Moore was kind of behind it. You know, I mean, we had seen K'Ehleyr before, right? We knew K'Ehleyr and Worf had kind of gotten down on the holodeck or something back in that I think it was a second season episode. And she shows up again with the fruit of that holodeck union, which is the kid, you know, and also, and I spoke, and I it's a shame that we don't have this interview to run, but I spoke to Michael Dorn about this last week, and he was talking about what a terrible father Worf really is in a lot of ways, you know, like he the kid loses his mother. So what does Worf do? He goes and he sends the kid back to live with his elderly grandparents, right? And then when the kid does finally come back and live on the Enterprise a few seasons later, Worf doesn't know how to handle the kid. He's never, you know, he's just not really very good at being a father. You know, he's a career man, and eventually they even pay that off on Deep Space Nine, where the kid comes back and he sort of inexplicably he's grown up. He's kind of a teenager at this point, right? And
he's also a fucking retard.
he's a terrible Klingon officer.
And he hates his dad.
He hates his dad, and he's the Gilligan of the Klingon army, right? Like, I mean, he gets into pratfalls. Everyone's always laughing at him. So, and you know, maybe some proper parenting would have helped in that regard. But yeah. But that reunion is that's truly a great episode. The only thing I don't like about it is that we never get to see Susie Plaxton again as K'Ehleyr, because K'Ehleyr was one of my favorite characters.
For sure, yeah, she was a lot of fun.
Yeah. So what else do we have on our list?
Well, speaking of Duras and K'Ehleyr, there's the whole Klingon Civil War.
Yeah.
Worf fought a damn good fight. In that one. I mean, yeah, he gets captured by the Duras sisters, and I can't tell them apart, Lursa and B'Etor.
I don't know. I think one is
either.
I think one's hotter than the other.
Yeah, one's boobs are a bit more shapely. That's how you can tell in their Klingon cleavage.
I think one had braces maybe at one time. Or
but Worf, you know, putting Starfleet on the side to go fight for his people, that's a big turning point for the character, who had like a Spockian type struggle between, you know, his Klingon half and his Federation obligations.
Yeah.
He was given, it's equally, you know, dramatic and sad, you know, that his one shot at being a part of his people is when they're about to tear themselves apart as well.
Yeah.
And he decides to join their fight when his people are on the brink of tearing themselves apart, and it's really good. You know, Worf has some cool moments when they're being like Redemption Part 2 opens with that cool attack sequence where he and his brother do that awesome maneuver where they draw the enemy Klingon fighters toward a sun.
Yeah,
and
they
then
activate warp or something, right?
Yeah, Kern just activates the warp engines right over the sun, which causes like a solar flare to spit up and kill 2 ships. That's kind of cool. I mean, because that happens because science.
That's almost like that's a Kirk level maneuver, right?
That is a Kirk level maneuver. That's like we'll fly into something really hot and then we'll warp It should kill us, but don't worry, we'll be all right.
That's it. And you see in that episode how Worf doesn't fit. He just doesn't fit in with the Klingons, though, right?
No.
I mean, in some ways, he's like his son, right? He wants, because like he can't. All he knows about the Klingons is the honor and the glory and the battles and stuff like that. And he doesn't understand like the let's go hang out in the bar at night
and headbutt
and drink with the guys who we're going to be fighting tomorrow. But it's like if I remember correctly, it's almost like the Klingon homeworld is like sort of like a neutral ground during the war, and so like both sides of the Civil War are just down there hanging out and like
having some booze.
Tomorrow will be a good day to die, But then Worf's like, what? He doesn't get it, and he tries to, his brother tries to get him in on it, and Worf tries to go with it, but doesn't quite work for him. And then in the end, he can't bring himself to kill that kid, right? It's what is it, like the son of Duras or something? This teenage dude who is offered to him by Gowron, and he can't do it. Whereas most Klingons, I think, all Klingons, I suppose, probably would have done it to satisfy the family honor or whatever. But Worf he's a little more, I don't want to say enlightened, because that's almost racist to say that the human way is better than the Klingon way, but
it is.
He's tinged by Starfleet's way of thinking, and there's no getting around that. So it's interesting, and he does ultimately wind up, of course, back on the Enterprise. How great would it have been? Not great for Michael Dorn, because he would have been out of work. But I think it would have been cool if Worf just went off and stayed with the Klingons, and we'd get him in guest shots once in a while. I think that would have been an interesting way to go.
And then we never would have had season 4 of DS9.
Yeah, that's true. In the end, he does go with the Klingons, though, right? Because at the end of Deep Space Nine, he goes to work with Martok, doesn't he?
He does, yeah.
Yeah. So, but like more like in the political capacity.
Yeah, I think I think Worf actually gets closer to, being like that Klingon ambassador we saw him in what do you call it?
In All Good Things.
Yeah.
And it doesn't jibe with Michael Dorn's plan to, he's been vocal about this, that he has this script for a Captain Worf TV show that he wants to see get off the ground. And I asked him about it when I spoke to him, and that doesn't really, the end of Deep Space Nine doesn't quite match up with that, because if he's off being Secretary of State or whatever for Martok, what the hell is he doing back on a ship as a captain? Of course, I think maybe that would be a more exciting show to see than to see the political world of the Klingons. But yeah, I spoke to Dorn about that show, and he told me that he's very guarded about it. He just said it's just a script that he wrote up, but he had heard that there was interest in doing a Star Trek TV show again soon, which is where the project came from. So take that for what it's worth. And I know that Paramount is re-upping, they're restarting their TV division. That's kind of recent industry news. So we might be seeing a Star Trek show sooner than later. I don't know. But he told me that the show would be he would be captain of a Klingon ship. He would have a girlfriend who was his first officer or something, who was a Klingon, who was like, I guess, another badass like him. And it basically would be, the design of the show would be to explore the Klingon side of things. I guess like Klingon worlds and things like that. So
wait, he wrote this script or someone wrote it?
He said he wrote it. I don't know. Maybe he had a partner on it. I'm not sure. We only spoke about it a little bit. He told me he'd send it to me, but I haven't received it yet. So.
Dude, you got to follow up because I want to read it.
Yeah, well, you know what? This is one of the reasons I wanted to go to the Star Trek Con next month. We were talking about this before we started recording. Next month is the big Star Trek Creation Con in Las Vegas, which is kind of one of the big ones. And I kind of wanted to go. I don't usually go to those things, but I wanted to go just to, for one thing, talk to Dorn again, because I feel bad that I lost this interview. Not that he knows or cares, but and I also wanted to see if I could get that script from him that he promised me. So I don't know.
That would be awesome.
Yeah. Maybe, Phil, you might have to go instead since you're closer to Las Vegas.
Let's do it.
Yeah. So
I haven't gone to a Star Trek convention since, man, the last one I went to was probably high school.
Yeah. I don't know if I've ever gone to a Star Trek only convention. I've been to sort of sci-fi conventions. I don't know if I've ever been to just specifically a Star Trek convention or not.
We had they're good times, man. Let me tell you.
I can't tell if you're being serious.
No, they are. The first one I went to was for Star Trek V. It was in the winter time. Nichelle Nichols came to my hometown. I've been to, and the last one I went to...
She was the guest of honor?
She was the guest of honor. She signed my comic book.
All right.
Which I still have.
Nice.
How
much did she charge you for that?
I don't think I had to pay anything, really.
Ah, okay.
I don't remember. I was 9 years old. But her handwriting's weird. I remember going, that's not a name. You try signing a 9-year-old comics after 4 gin and tonics. Yeah, I think she likes to get a little sauce.
Well, you need something to get through those autograph signings.
Dark residuals that don't add up anymore.
The last one was who? Quark?
Armin Shimmerman came, and my aunt, God bless her, you know what she did? My aunt loves the hell out of me. There was an auction, and those QVC plaques that had like the actor's photo and it was signed on them.
Oh yeah, my dad used to buy them for me all the time. Sure.
She got me a Riker in an auction.
Oh wow!
And she was going crazy. I don't remember the exact amount. It was probably more than $200, but I remember getting anxious and tense because I just stress about my money, and I stress about when anyone else wants to spend a lot of money. And if it's on me, it's like, forget about it. It's like I'm not entitled to it for some reason.
So she was trying to create this nice, lasting moment between nephew and aunt, and you totally turned it into the...
No, I actually was like, go for it, because she was betting crazy on like a Picard or a Kirk plaque. We won the Riker one. But she was going nuts with the Kirk Picard one.
For you or for herself?
For herself. But the cool thing is she was getting it for me. She wanted to get it for me. The cool thing was, though, is that I later found out, years later, that...
She mortgaged her house for that.
She mortgaged her house. She donated her kidneys and her neighbors. And, she had... QVC, once again, it was around the time that Star Trek VI was coming out, so 91. She ordered me a teaser poster.
Nice. Which
had the original, which I still have, which had the original release date of 12/13. But the movie ended up coming out on 12/6.
Okay.
It's a collector's item. And she also ordered me an envelope that had like a monogram, like Star Trek stamp thing on it, and it was signed by Shatner. And a few years ago, she recently told me she had that.
Oh, you didn't even know about it?
She had no idea. She kept it. She didn't want to give it to me until I was older.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
I don't have any aunts like that.
So my aunt is badass like Worf. That's how that ties in.
Okay, yeah, it sounds like it. So what else is on our Worf list?
Well, we got 2 more. Your favorite one, Scott.
I don't remember what my favorite one is.
It involves giving some blood to a Romulan.
Oh, yeah. And I spoke to Dorn about this one as well. The episode is The Enemy, I think?
Yes, season 3, The Enemy.
Season 3, great Romulan stuff going on.
One of Michael Pillar's favorites, one of Michael Dorn's favorites.
And who wrote that one? I can't remember who wrote that.
I want to say Michael Pillar, but you tell your story and I'll Google it.
Okay, so it's basically the Defiant Ones in space. It's the Tony Curtis, Sidney Poitier thing, where Geordi is trapped with this Romulan on this terribly inhospitable planet, and they have to learn to work together in order to escape. But the B storyline involves Worf, who there's another injured Romulan on board the Enterprise,
right?
And basically he needs a blood transfusion, and it's a bit of a plot device, really. But the only person who is capable of providing the necessary blood that will match the Romulans is Worf, and Worf won't fucking do it because the Romulans killed his parents. They slaughtered the Khitomer outpost. They're the hated enemies of the Klingons, and he won't do it. And Picard won't order Worf to do it, but he has a real sort of sit down with him and with his officer, and tries to talk him through it and say that you have to rise above these things, and Worf respectfully declines, and he won't do it, and in the end the Romulan dies because Worf won't do it. He refuses to go through with it, which is a pretty ballsy move on the part of the writers. Ballsy. Because you're talking about, usually what would happen is your heroic character, in this case Worf, is going to do the right thing. He might be conflicted about it. He's going to have an internal struggle, but then you would say, well, we're going to take our character from point A to point B, and he's going to learn to grow, and he's going to evolve through this experience, and he's going to do the right thing. But the writers were like, no, he's a Klingon. He wouldn't do it. He's not going to do it. He doesn't care about that Romulan. And he doesn't do it, and they went through with it. And I asked Dorn about that, actually, and he said he was a little, he thought it was an awesome moment, but he was a little worried about it. And he actually went, and I think he said he went and talked to Berman about it. And they were like, no, we want to do this. This is what Worf would do. And they went in, and it's, I think, one of the great Worf moments, because it does differentiate him from most of the other Star Trek human characters who, of course, would have rolled up their sleeve and given the transfusion. That's a great episode. There's a couple of great Romulan episodes from that time period, but I think it's also third season, the one with the defector. I don't remember if it's called the defector or not, but the Romulan comes on.
Yeah, with Romulan.
Yeah, I think that's third season also.
I believe it is. Yes. So, and this episode was written by Michael Piller and another writer.
It was okay. Who was the other writer?
I forgot his name. David something.
You just Googled it.
David Kempler, maybe? Kempler?
Okay. It doesn't matter. But what it is he wrote it, and Piller probably rewrote the hell out of it.
And made it good.
Probably what that means, yeah. But yeah, that's a great one as well. It also reminds me of, this isn't, technically this isn't on our list, but you remember the drumhead where Gene Simmons... not Gene Simmons from Kiss, but Gene Simmons, the actress.
Spartacus.
From Spartacus, she shows up, and then she's holding all these tribunals, and she's a Federation bureaucrat type, and basically it's a metaphor for McCarthyism and the anti-communist stuff that was going on back in the 50s, and Worf is a hardliner. Everyone else is starting to say, whoa, what, she's getting out of the hand here. What's she doing? She's putting Picard on trial. And Worf, for almost the whole episode, he's all with her. He thinks she's doing the right thing.
Right.
Which, again, is kind of like, you're painting this guy in potentially very unfavorable light. Of course, in that episode, he does eventually come around. Like, once Picard's on trial, I don't think that his... If he backed that up, that would have been maybe going too far. That would have been a
bad move. And if I was Picard, I'd be like, hey, remember that time you almost fucked me in that court thing? Right, you ain't going on no Civil War, son.
Yeah. You know the part of the ship that Brad Dourif worked on Voyager? That's where you're going.
Yeah. Sweet dreams, Worf.
All right, what's left? We have one more on our list?
One more. Honorable mention. All Good Things. The amazing finale.
Worf in his purple pajamas.
Worf rocks some purple future clothes on a date with Troy. Two things. One, they were just walking on some beach somewhere, so that outfit looks ridiculously hot to be wearing on a night stroll on the beach. Maybe it was cool because you get that breeze, but I'm doubting it. Two, that's the outfit you wear to court Troy when she was still hot? That's badass.
The only reason why it doesn't stand out more is because moments later, Picard shows up in his little robe pajamas thingy, which is like even weirder. But at least Worf has pants on. I don't. I'm not sure that Picard has pants on with his number, right?
No, I think it's more like a bathrobe smock combo.
Okay.
Which, is hot. Patrick Stewart, he could wear, a garbage bag with some holes in it and make that work.
Yeah,
that's the Shakespearean actor in him. But yes, a badass ensemble from Worf.
Yes.
Caps our list of badass Worf moments. Boom! How'd you like that segue?
Nice.
Thank you.
Nicely done. Now I want to hear you segue into our red shirt.
Someone who can't wear purple future clothes because he's buried in his permanent red shirt is today's poor bastard of the week.
All right, that wasn't bad.
Well, it wasn't great.
We take this time to remember those who have laid their lives down for Starfleet. This is the red shirt of the week.
Today's red shirt comes, again, from original series. The best red shirts are from original series.
Yeah.
And this episode always bothered me as a kid, which is part of the reason why I don't think I watched all of it. I remember fast-forwarding through the Columbia House VHS tapes. And the title, I could never pronounce it. It's Elon or Troyes?
I guess. Yeah.
Okay, fuck off with that.
It's easier to just say. It's easier to just call it Helen of Troy, right?
Right. That's what they're going for, right?
I guess. Yeah.
Ensign Watson is the victim of a brutal neck snapping. The Elon's bodyguard, Crichton, he's a Klingon spy, right?
Not to be confused with John Crichton from Farscape, or Crichton the robot from Red Dwarf.
Wow.
Or Michael Crichton.
Look at Scott. Guy, listeners, this is proof that you can still raise a family and know that knowledge.
I have braved a Farscape convention, sir. I will tell you. I may not have ever been.
One does not simply admit that.
Believe me, and I brought my wife to it.
And
let me tell you, it almost ruined the marriage.
Ruined it?
It almost
or made it. Because that's love, man.
We'll talk about that another time. We'll talk about that when we start our Farscape podcast.
You just out purple-closed Worf. Like if that was a date. If that was a date, sir, you did well. I thought I had a bad date. My first date was taking my crush and her twin sister to see Stop or My Mom Will Shoot.
Oh, wait. You took your crush and her twin sister to see the Stallone Estelle Getty's... What's her name?
Estelle Getty and Sylvester Stallone's Opus. Stop or My Mom Will Shoot.
Oh, man. No, that is worse. Because I was already...
Pretzels, courtesy of Hot Sam's at the Mill Creek Mall. Boom.
Did it work out? Did it work out in the end, though? Did you hook up?
She was my first girlfriend, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But then she left me for a guy.
She could never get past that.
Pants.
That's your version of when you and your girlfriend or wife wind up getting like terribly violated by a police officer who's crossed the line, right? Like they pull you over for a traffic infringement and they wind up
for like crash.
It's your crash, right? It's like the cop fondled your girlfriend and beat the crap out of you, and you guys can never move past that moment. Except in this case, it was Stop or My Mom Will Shoot. Your girlfriend can never move past that horror.
Well, all the dates since then have yet to measure up to a supervised date with my mom and the girl's twin sister. And
wait, your mom was there too?
Of course, I was in 5th grade. That's my first date. That's why my mom goes with me to this day on all of my dates.
I didn't. Okay, you were in 5th grade. All right.
It gets pricey.
You shouldn't have admitted that you were in 5th grade, man, because I was picturing like 11th grade or something.
Oh, no. That would have been pathetic. I'm classy.
I know. You just ruined the story for me,
Now, in
man.
11th grade, son, I was taking chicks to Mouse Hunt. I was driving the Ford Taurus.
You were active, man. For a Star Trek fan, you were socially active with the opposite sex.
I got around.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
My mid-level attractive ass got some ass. I'm not gonna lie.
All right, let's bring it back to Kirk, though. So speaking of getting some ass, Kirk.
Some
this is
guy
the one
who
where
ain't getting ass, Ensign Watson, got his ass fucked up. He got his neck snapped by Crichton, Elon's guard, who was a Klingon spy, and he was trying to sabotage the mission, the diplomatic mission she was serving aboard the Enterprise with. And
right.
I'm looking at a still of it right now. It's pretty pathetic. The guy who takes him out is wearing these glittery, plastic-looking shoulder pad outfits, and he's wearing like flash-boarding gold gloves. Basically getting your neck snapped by...
Tommy Toon?
Yeah, by a backup singer in a Queen video. And, that's, as deaths go, that's not the coolest.
Yeah, I mean, he is supposed to be security, right?
He's supposed to be security, but as red shirt deaths go, we would have it no other way.
Yes.
So, Ensign Watson, we hope they don't laugh at you too hard wherever you go. We hope Hendorf is not pointing fingers at you.
Hendorf, it turns out Hendorf, there's a private hell for the red shirts, and Hendorf rules over all, right? Right. But they all just like keep dying random red shirt deaths over and over again in hell. But no, actually, I think hell for red shirts is listening to Uhura sing "Charlie's Our New Darling." Hate that song. Hate it with the passion of the son Kern used to kill some Klingons. Yeah, because so Charlie, he sends Sam, the guy, Kirk's asexual sparring mate from the gym.
Sam actually looked pretty sexual to me.
Well, what I mean is the sparring was asexual,
yes,
despite appearances to the
asexual
contrary.
Sparring, new band name called it.
So she sent him to the cornfields, but Charlie sent him to the cornfields, but he let Uhura off easy by just what did he do? Why he took her voice away after she sang that song? Right. I mean, I would think if anything, she deserves to go straight to Hendorf hell, and you give Sam maybe a little bit of a free pass. But so what do you say, Phil? Next week, or hey, I don't want to make any promises here, but Star Trek Next Generation Season 4 hits Blu-ray tomorrow, Tuesday.
July 30th, correct.
I think this might be the rare 2 podcasts in 1 week. What do you think?
I think you might be right, Scott. I want to make that happen for our listeners because they've been patient.
So let's do that.
Let's make it happen, Scott. Until then, thank you for listening, and we'll see you on Gravet Island.